Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers, here. As the title suggests, 1 week away next week, fantasy football begins. Football begins, obviously. And in fact, a week from today exactly, we will be reviewing the first football game of the season. I know. I'm Ray Flowers at FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me here today on the show, Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FG. As I said, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We go about an hour each day. Justin Fensterman returns next week. So next week, we'll go back to the normal schedule. I'll be here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Fensterman will be back on Wednesday. I'll be with Jeff Manns on Wednesday. Jeff Manns Show, the Elite Sports Show, is Monday through Friday on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not here with you most of the time on Wednesdays because I'm always there with Jeff on Wednesdays. That means you watch the show from 12 to 1, listen to the show from 12 to 1, and then from 2 to 5 Eastern, you go to SiriusXM and listen to Jeff's show as well. Note that I said watch or listen to this show. You know it. Here it is. You can consume the product in many ways. You can watch along live. If you're watching live, you can leave comments and questions that we will address throughout the show. YouTube.com/Elite Plus Network, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and Twitter X @FantasyGuru site. Get involved, ask those questions, tell a friend, spread the word, all that kind of good stuff. Type in Fantasy Sports Daily wherever you listen to podcasts. You should be able to find us there. Fantasy Sports Daily. And then finally, go to FantasyGuru.com. Just click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. It's right there in the toolbar. And you're good to go. You're good to go. What are we talking about today? Well, today, boom, there it is. Baseball and football. In about 25 or so minutes, we'll talk with Russell Clay, our dynasty guy over at FantasyGuru.com. We'll talk about the big Micah Parsons trade to the Packers. We'll talk about the Miami running back situation. We'll talk about Jalen Coker. We talked yesterday to Tyler Beaker about Jalen Coker. He was a fan. We'll see if Russell Clay is as well. Darnell Mooney, Isaac TeSlaa. What are the Niners doing at the wide receiver position? We talked this all week. Want to get Russell's thoughts too. Jayden Reed. And then some looking forward, some prognostication. CJ Stroud, CMC, Stefon Diggs, Kyle Pitts, and Brenton Strange. So we'll talk to Russell about all that, all that in about 25 minutes. Before we get to that baseball talk, Kyle Schwarber making history, Corey Seager hurt, Coby Mayo, Harrison Bader, Willy Damas, Michael Busch, Jordan Walker, Trevor Walker, Payton Tolle, Andrew Painter, Aaron Nola, Miles Mikolas, and Garrett Crochet. We'll talk a little bit there about all of those guys moving forward. Before we get to any of that, let's go. Get signed up. There's still time. Football does start next week, but we can still help you now. Head over to FantasyGuru.com. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Get involved. Get signed up for the DFS product, which kicks off next week. Get signed up for the wagering process, which really kicks off next week, though. There have been bets, plays, futures, and all that to this point. Get signed up for the seasonal package at FantasyGuru.com. You get signed up. It's all season long. Sign up now. Go back and read everything you missed. Go back and listen to the 20 podcasts that you missed. Get ready for your draft this weekend, next week. Get signed up. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. If you do have any questions, make sure that you send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Just send an email, support@fantasyguru.com, and we'll be able to help you out. We're going to talk about Kyle Schwarber here in a second if I learn how to use my tech. There we go. Kyle says, and I hate this, Kyle. This happens all the time. Somebody who analyzes the matchups on a daily basis, this happens all the time. You know a guy's in a good groove. You know a guy's, trending in the right direction. You're ready to go. You're ready to rock and roll. Things are looking great. And what happens? You put him in your lineup. Doesn't happen. And then the next day, the guy goes nuts. Kyle Schwarber went nuclear. He was historic last night. The Phillies destroyed the Braves 19-4. In so doing, Kyle Schwarber became the third player this season, which is absolutely phenomenal and remarkable. The third player this season, Nick Kurtz and Eugenio Suarez, the other two. Third player this year to hit 4 home runs in a game. Now, this only happened like 21 times. To have it happen 3 times in one season is remarkable. Schwarber had 4 bombs last night. He drove in 9 runs. I mean, this is And Kyle Schwarber, that lineup, as we talked about all the time, it's why you don't want to pitch guys against the Phillies. It's why the Phillies are such a dangerous club. But Kyle Schwarber, he's an interesting player in the fantasy space. He's stolen 10 bases this year, by the way. He's a home run away from going 50-10. He went 46-10 a couple years ago. So he's, a little sneaky, a little bit something on the base pass some of the time. Most of the time he's under 5 steals, but 2 of the last 4 years he's been at 10. He hit 248 last year. He's hitting 248 this year. That's not a good batting average. It's just basically league average. But he hit 197 the year before, and he hit 218 the year before that. He's actually been, I'm looking at the numbers now, under 220 in 3 of the last 5 years. So to see him hit, or 1, 2, 3, 3 of the last 5 years, So to see him hit 240, that's pretty good, right? And, he's obviously got a career best in home runs. He's got a career best in RBIs. He's got a chance to set a career best in runs scored. He scored 110 times last year. He's 6 runs away from a third consecutive season of going 38, 100, 100. He's just really good. And he's part of that great lineup that they have there with the Phillies. He's got a 370 on base percentage, which would be the second best mark of his career. He's got a 338 isolated power mark, which would be the best mark of his career. I mean, this is just, he's really good. He's really, really good. And as Kyle mentioned here, a 4 home run, 9 RBI game breaks the slate in DFS. So you had him, you won, you didn't have him, you lost. I mean, it's really that simple. But just like Kurtz, just like Suarez, Schwarber, one of the best power hitters in all of baseball. He's trying to catch Cal Raleigh for the home run title this season. Not impossible to think he could push 55 plus home runs this year. In fact, his pace suggests that's likely to happen. Does he hit 60? It's such a big number, but Kyle Schwarber mashing the baseball last night. Now, from the good news from a veteran to the ungood news, which is not a word. Chris Young, we talked about him yesterday, unfortunately, with the Rangers because they had the situation with Nathan Eovaldi and the fact that his season's likely over because of injury. Corey Seager's had appendicitis and underwent emergency surgery yesterday. Now, we have no idea what's going on here long term. Obviously, when you have an appendix out, he's not going to be on the field. He's going on the injured list. It would be a stunner if they didn't put him on the injured list. Hopefully, he's back in 2 weeks and we're good to go. Dylan Moore is very likely to join the active roster for the game tonight. We talked about Moore earlier this week. I think it was this week. Maybe it was late last week. It's probably this week when he was added by the Rangers. So he'll get in that lineup. It looks like, at least in the short term, he and Ezekiel Duran will continue to see some time. And they've been using Josh Smith, the second base, a little bit too. So the Rangers will try to mix and match here. Moore will probably take over at shortstop. Seager, we'll have to wait and see it. Seager continues to be a very effective player, continues to just miss games with injury, and when he's hot, and there was a stretch there for 4 or 5 weeks where he was one of the best offensive players in baseball. We rolled him out there continually in bets. We had him continually in DFS write-ups. The Rangers will have to make do now without their second baseman, Marcus Semien, whose season is likely over, and Corey Seager, who had the appendicitis. So neither one of their guys up the middle. Oof. Coby Mayo is somebody that we've talked about previously. I added Coby Mayo myself in multiple leagues. The Orioles didn't blow their team up, but they created an opportunity for Mayo to play on a consistent basis after the trade deadline and all that. And, the truth of the matter is I'm in a 15-team league. It's even time for me to go in a different direction. He went 1 over 3 last night. He's 1 for 17 his last 5 games. He's batting 188. He's got a 269 on base percentage, and it's not, oh my gosh, his career is over. We were all wrong. No, it's not that at all. Remember, this guy was a top 50 prospect in all of baseball a couple years ago, maybe even this year, depending upon where you were looking. Remember as well that there is zero debate that Coby Mayo has got one of the best power bats in all of baseball. Zero debate about that. But these numbers are just not. I mean, he played 45 games at AAA and 59 games at the big league level. He had a 770 OPS at AAA. He had a 589 OPS at the big league level. His OPS is in the 600s this year. I mean, that's his on-base percentage. I don't have the exact number. Is it 300? It's not even 300. Not good. And this happens a lot with young players where they struggle to find their footing. Last season he had 25 home runs. He had an OPS of 974 in the minors, which is why everyone came into this season so excited. But it's just not, the bottom line is it's just not happening right now for him. And so if you're a lunatic like me and you've been hoping, I think it's okay to move on. 28% strikeout rate isn't terrible, but it's not good. Barrel rates average, hard hit rates average, exit velocities average. Like nothing here stands out at all with Coby Mayo. Ugh. Talked about Harrison Bader on Monday when we talked waiver wires. I wrote about him yesterday over at fantasyguru.com and said, look, if you're not paying attention, and what did he do yesterday? Went out, scored 3 runs, went 4 for 5. And again, there's an article over at fantasyguru.com that I wrote yesterday talking about some batters that very likely could be on the waiver wire that might be able to help you down the stretch. Bader is now 18 for 43. Okay, with those 4 hits yesterday. 18 for 43. That's a 419 average. In the last 2 weeks, his OPS is almost 1,100. The last 75 at bats, he's hitting 340 with a 900 OPS. Like, he's really ripping right now. And, oh, yeah, by the way, with those hits yesterday, he's 14 for 25. That's 560. Again, we said this Monday. I'll reiterate it. None of this is real. Okay. But you can't ignore that for a month's time here, he has been ripping it up. He's been ripping it up for a team in the Phillies that we're just, Schwarber's out of control. Harper continues to get it done. Trey Turner continues to get, this is a really good lineup. The only odd thing here is while Bader's bat has been sizzling, he hasn't stolen a base in 24 games. That's a little odd for this guy. So that part of his game likely kicks in a little bit here down the stretch too. If he slows, he's not in the lineup every day, even so, but you're not taking a guy out who's, 14 for 23, right? You're just not doing that. You're not taking a guy out of your lineup sitting 419 the last 2 weeks. Harrison Bader just getting it done right now. Yesterday over at fantasyguru.com wrote about this next guy too. Hey, you read the article and made moves. I don't know if Willy Adames is on the waiver wire. I assume in shallow leagues he is. Let's pull up his ownership rate here. I always love looking at RT Sports. I don't know who's in some of these leagues because you look at these ownership rates on websites and it's like, well, Willy Adames has started in 2/3 of leagues on RT Sports. He's rostered in 80% of leagues. So he's on the waiver wire in some leagues, not starting. He's a third of the teams aren't starting him. Wrote about him yesterday, said, hey, look, it hasn't been great this season, but it's been much better of late. He's been driving the baseball. Hit 2 home runs yesterday. He's consistently solid. He's now 1 RBI away, I think, from a 5th consecutive 20 home runs, 70 RBI season. He's only hitting 224, so this is not, look at this. But his last 12 games, he's gone deep 6 times. Last 6 games, he's gone deep 4 times. So he absolutely has found his power stroke. What looked like was going to be a very rough season for him still isn't great. He's hitting 224 with that 730 OPS. It's still not great. But as we're noting here, the power stroke has really been found here. He just missed a home run the other night in a pitch hitting experience against the Cubs. Just missed it, flew out to deep left field. Almost had another home run. He's grooving right now, and he's got a legitimate chance to hit 30 home runs. 30-80s in play here for Willy Adames, and that is not something I would have said 3 months ago. So good for him to find a stroke, and he's rolling right now at that shortstop position. Michael Busch went 1 for 4 last night, but he hit his 25th home run of the season. And Busch, admittedly, is somebody who's been better than I think most people anticipated he'd be this year. Certainly he's been better than I anticipated he would be this year. Has he been great? No. 25 home runs, 75 RBIs. Last year he went 21-65. But remember, we got a month left. So that 25-75 can become 30-90 for a guy that went 21-65 last year. Like, he's showing some substantial growth. And the batting average and OPS, they're solid, 260, 833. He needs to be platoon. He doesn't do anything against lefties. Okay. But he's been really solid. And I think that it's really nice to see him. He cut 4% off his strikeout rate, which speaks to the batting average increase. He's driving the baseball a little bit better. His isolated power marker is up 40%. Exit velocity is up 1.6 miles an hour. The barrel rate is up 4%. The hard hit rate is up 6%. He's earning what he's doing, and it's been impressive. Last year, the numbers were good for a rookie. Last year, the numbers are pretty good. They're good for a rookie. This year, the numbers are even better. So this is really intriguing. I'm not positive if there's another gear for Michael Busch, and we'll obviously dive into this in the offseason. But right now, the numbers are really nice, even though he's only got 1 home run in the last 2 weeks. That home run he hit last night was his first home run in 2 weeks, so he has slowed down here in the second half. So again, 30-90s in play, but his performance has slowed down. So be cautious that you're not just looking at the season. You know this. You're not just looking at the seasonal numbers, right? Be a little bit cautious there with that. In the case of the Cardinals, let's go to our next hitter, Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker's in the lineup on a daily basis. We've talked about him a lot. Cardinals have got to let him go, see what happens. How does this? Is it ever going to happen for this guy with this team? They're going to have to trade him. Brandon Donovan's on the injured list. Victor Scott's on the injured list. So Walker's playing every day. Walker went deep last night, and there's that talent that is impressive, right? We all know it. Remember a couple years ago, we've gone through this. Okay. He's still not really doing anything. He's 7 for his last 32. He's hitting 219. His last 20 games, he's stolen 4 bases, which we love to see. So he basically, the last 20 games, has 2 home runs and 4 steals. Give him 140 games. That's 7. That's 1428. We'd take that. But it comes with a 238 batting average and a 608 OPS. He's just not hitting the baseball well. He's just not driving the baseball well. He's not taking advantage of the opportunity here. He's still a young guy. But we're getting closer to that zone where is he going to get traded this offseason? They're going to make a move because, at the same time, what are they going to get for him, the Cardinals? They obviously, at one point in time, he was a top 5 prospect in baseball. So someone out there will pay them, right? It's not like they're going to get a flunky for him in return, but they're not going to get any. I mean, they could have traded him a couple years ago and gotten 4 guys, right? So we'll see what the Cardinals do in the offseason. But my hope in labor, or my hope in Tout Wars. I had him in one of these. No, it was FSGA. My hope is FSGA. It's the FSGA league. I hope that he would do something down the stretch, that he would fulfill his talent. Hope unrealized. Trevor Story. I mean, this is a really interesting scenario. Trevor Story has 3 home runs in 6 games after hitting his 22nd of the season last night. Trevor Story is somebody that no one drafted expecting what has happened, because they would look at his background and say, look, he's going to get hurt and all that. And maybe he still does, but mad props to Trevor Story, who has gone 20-20, 75-75 this season. So if he got hurt next game, season's over, 20-20, 75-75. I mean, that's, and when you look at the let's pull this up. I think he's one of 3 shortstops to go 20-20. Is it Nito and Francisco Lindor? Is that it? Let's see here. 2020. Francisco Lindor's gone 24-24. Zach Nito's gone 22-24. Trevor Story's gone 22-23. One of only 3 guys. Bobby Witt's a home run away, so he'll get there. Ellie De La Cruz is 2 home runs away. He'll get there. C.J. Abrams needs 3 home runs. Geraldo Perdomo actually needs 5 home runs. So this list could grow substantially. It could be a huge group of 20-20 guys at the shortstop position. But Trevor Story, out of all those names, right? So Trevor Story, again, mad props to Trevor Story. His last month of action, 6 home runs, 6 steals, so he's keeping the pace going. He's even hitting 300 the last month. Now he's only 6 for his last 27, so, he is a 250 hitter. He's batting 257. But he's rocking and rolling right now. So, again, kudos to Trevor Story, who I think I have on one of my teams this season. All right. Speaking of the Red Sox, Payton Tolle is getting called up to start today, and he's another one of these youngsters that's getting the opportunity here at the big league level. He was the 2nd-round pick from 2024 for the Red Sox, so he's blown through the minor leagues. The numbers are stupendous. A .99 whip, 133 strikeouts, 23 walks, 91 in the 3rd innings. Let's go. Now, he faces the Pirates, which is a really good matchup. Now, here's the real issue with Tolle. The numbers are stupendous. The scouting report says, man, this fastball, 96, 7, 8, this fastball's fantastic. He throws a fastball 70% of the time, though. Now, again, that's a really high number for a starting pitcher. We talk about this all the time. Really high number for a starting pitcher. There's questions about his secondaries. And there are some concerns that because he is so fastball reliant, because the fastball's so good, that he might end up in the bullpen long-term anyway. So he's another one of these guys that it's like, we can dream. You can look at the numbers this season and it's, well, here we go. He's got a little bit of funk to him. That delivery's a little different. He comes over the top a little bit. He kind of hides the ball. He's got an interesting follow-through. So there's some funk to him. So, and the Pirates aren't exactly Mr. Offense, right? I'm just saying, caution despite the numbers. Kyle says he's starting him based on his mustache game. Well, that's I mean, duh. I'm not a big fan of the porn stash. I just don't. Never been a thing for me. I've on multiple occasions cut a mustache off when I've had a big beard just to do it for like a day. I think I did. Was I Ned Flanders for Halloween last year? But I'm not a fan of the mustache. But yeah, he's got mustache game, and he's left-handed too. So there you go. Cautious here. Again, I've laid it all out here. Always caution with the guy in his first turn at the big league level. We have no clarity if the Red Sox plan on going with Tolle long term. Is this a one-off? We don't know. Dealer's choice. I'm not starting him today. Again, that's me. I'm always reluctant. Rookie. I'm always reluctant first time through. I'm always reluctant when the scouting report suggests secondaries are a problem. His control can be an issue. You don't see it at the minor league level, 23 strikeouts. Remember, this guy's blowing 98-mile-an-hour cheese at these guys, and he's just dominating them with stuff. His control is something that comes and goes. So really interesting player. Zoom through the minor leagues, and we'll see how he does today for the Red Sox. Speaking of youngsters that are zooming through the minor leagues, well, this hasn't been a zoomer through the minor leagues, Andrew Painter. And the reason it hasn't been is because obviously he's coming back from injury, surgery, all that kind of stuff. There was a hope since, January, that we would see Painter in the second half for the Phillies this season. In fact, we even got a lot of talk out of the Phillies camp that was very likely to happen. Whether he was starting or relieving, we thought we would see him. Maybe we still will in September, maybe. But the fact is that he's just not pitching well. He's just not pitching well. It's 5 starts in August. He's thrown 24 innings. His ERA is 7.8, and he's walked 16 guys in 24 innings. As we talk about all the time, it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. There it is. So if Painter gets called up at this point, I have to assume it'll be to work out of the bullpen. I can't imagine they'd throw him out as a starting pitcher right now with the way things are going. Long-term, dynasty keeper. I don't think anything has changed because the season's been messy this year for him coming back from injury. But his 2025 season has been messy, and it's impossible to have any confidence that he'd be starting for the Phillies down the stretch. And if he does start for the Phillies down the stretch, he's going to do well, which is disappointing because obviously Zach Wheeler's down with his injury. So theoretically, there would have been an opportunity right there for Andrew Painter. Speaking of the Phillies, Aaron Nola, I don't know where yesterday came from, but hey, good luck. Good luck to you if you started him. If you did, paid off. Got a victory. His team gave him 162 runs of support, so that obviously was a big help, big boost there. He got 4 runs, 4 hits over 6 innings of work, struck out 4, 3 free passes. So it wasn't like a great effort, but it was solid. And I think that it's very reasonable to look at Nola down the stretch and say he's going to be solid. It's very reasonable to look at his ratios and say his ERA is not going to be 6.5. His WHIP's not going to be 1.5. He's not that guy. We know that. Now, yesterday's effort makes you feel a little bit better because, again, the Braves are a tough lineup, even without Riley. The Braves are a tough lineup to pitch to. At the same time, Aaron Nola is set to face the Brewers next time out, which is obviously a difficult matchup. It's very likely that Jackson Chury will be back in the lineup by then for the Brewers as well. So we're trending toward obviously rostering Nola. He shouldn't be on the waiver wire at this point. I'm comfortable saying that. Starting him next time against the Brewers, not really comfortable with that. We need to see a little bit more sharpness from him, and we need to see a better matchup. So, and again, I know how it is. It's always tough to pick up a guy and then not play him. Those of you in head-to-head leagues, or you're in the playoffs at some variety, semifinals, finals next week, whatever it might be. I would not be starting Mr. Nola with any level of confidence. Miles Mikolas gave up a home run in the first inning, but that was it. Miles Mikolas is a very interesting guy because he falls right in line with so many other guys we talked about. We talked about Eric Lauer the other day. Who else we talking about? Quinn Priester. Like Miles Mikolas is in that zone. Libertor, he's just in that zone of guys that, you put the ball in play against them, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. You look at his numbers, his ERA is 5 and his WHIP is 1.3. It's all about matchups with him. Next time out, he's set to face the Athletics. Don't love that matchup. If he stays on track for the next start, he might pitch in Seattle. Not great to pitch against the Mariners, but pitching in Seattle is not a bad spot. Then he's set to face the Reds. So all of this, this is not looking like it really matters with Miles Mikolas. Just wanted to throw him out there because, if desperate, break glass in case of emergency. It's kind of where we're at with Miles Mikolas. Garrett Crochet. Let's talk a little bit about Garrett Crochet. Last night, Garrett Crochet struck out 7, gave up 2 runs in 6 innings against the Orioles. He's currently leads baseball in strikeouts, if I'm not mistaken. And I just wanted to revisit him because the concern I had, which was a legitimate and fair concern, was the workload. And it's fascinating to me that the Red Sox gave him this big contract, the 6-year, 160, what is it? 6-year, 170 contract. And they have said, just go. And we talked about it a lot. Is his performance going to struggle or slip? Really hasn't. Is the team going to be concerned about the workload? They really haven't been. Remember, last year he threw 146 innings, which is a massive number for a guy who the previous 3 years had thrown 68 innings at the big league level. Remember, the first 3 years in the big leagues, he was a reliever before transitioning to the rotation last season. So he goes out and throws 146 innings last year. It's up to 172 innings this year. So it seems like the Red Sox said, we're paying you. You're doing it. Go. It seems like they're going to let him throw 200-plus innings this year, which, again, with the way guys are handled, I'm very surprised by this. In 2021, he threw 54 innings. In 2023, he threw 24 innings because of injury, right? So he threw more innings last year than he had as a professional in one season. And then this year, they're going to let him add 50, 60, 70 innings to that. Like, whew. I'm really surprised. But for those people that drafted Crochet, you're getting masterful efforts. You look at his innings pitched here, 6 innings, 7 innings, 7 innings, 4 innings, and a bad effort. 6 innings, 7 innings, 6 innings, 9 innings. Again, the Red Sox showing absolutely no concern for the workload. He continues to rack up strikeouts. He's up to 214 there. 107 whip last year, 106 whip this year. The K rate is down from 35% to 31%. 31% is still a dominant elite number, so let's not panic about that. But uber impressive here, Garrett Crochet, because I did have those concerns about his workload, and he's blown right through that. So next year, then we'll have the question. He added 100 innings 2 years ago. He added 70 innings last year. No one's probably going to care. He'll probably be a top 5 pitcher next year. I think that's pretty fair. So there's our discussion about baseball. And just to talk about it, I mentioned that we're going to be changing up the schedule a little bit here on the show. Next week, we'll run things normal. Monday, I'll be here. We'll do the waiver wire review. We'll look at the weekend of baseball. It'll be the one show of the week, which is all baseball. It'll be our last baseball-only show of the year. We'll do that on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll have the guests on. We'll talk football. The following week, so 10 days from now, whatever it might be. On Monday, we're going to go from all baseball to all football because we'll be reviewing the Sunday game action on the show. On Tuesday through Friday, we will still do baseball here on the show. I say it all the time to everyone, not abandoning baseball. We'll still be doing bets. We'll still be doing DFS. Still be covering the seasonal game. September 1st will be the last update of the rankings for folks looking to have some success down the stretch for baseball. So we're not going to abandon baseball. We'll continue to cover it, but we will tilt more toward football moving forward. That's why it's important for everybody to head over to fantasyguru.com. You can signed up for the baseball package if you still want to do it. Seasonal, DFS, wagering, all 3 is one package. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com. If you want to sign up for the football package, you click that subscribe tab in the top right corner and have at it. Seasonal, DFS, wagering, all 3. Get podcasts, articles, chat rooms, live streams. You can get signed up VIP Platinum package. Get everything we do for every sport: NASCAR, horse racing, PGA, all of it, MMA. That's the VIP Platinum. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com if you've got an interest in doing that. Okay, it's Friday. You know what that means. That means our man is here. The guy that we talk football with every Friday, the guy with the good hair, the guy with the smile, the guy that always brings the positive vibes. You know him as a guy that we also he has a variety of names. Russ, Russell, Russ J, Russell J, Mr. Clay. All these names, they all apply to the same guy. And that is Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. He is our dynasty guy over at fantasyguru.com. And you're also not only going to be hearing him on the show Fridays, I'll see if he's got maybe he has an announcement to make today. If not today, it'll be next week. I don't know what he's doing. We'll ask him what he's doing, but we'll bring him onto the show here. He is Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. Not just a dynasty guy. He is our dynasty guy, but not just a dynasty guy. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Russ?
What's going on, Ray? How are you?
Doing all right. This is the last Friday before the world turns upside down, with football. You're probably excited that the games are actually going to start, right? So you have something new to talk about, I would assume.
I'd argue it's already coming crashing to reality. College football has already started, so our college football team is off and going as of Thursday. I actually have a college football article today, and it's kind of like one of those, oh my God, we're back. That's right. Look at this schedule. With our schedule, there's multiple color levels. And when you're in multiple color levels and color tiers, that's how you know it's football season.
And that's a good thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
For me, it's a little bit of both because I'm still doing baseball. So I love the start of October because then it's only football for like 4 weeks because then I start baseball again. So it never ends. That's the life we live. And while I'm complaining, I'm not really complaining because I don't want to dig ditches or do anything like that with my life. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. You do have an announcement, I think. Now, I don't know if you want to announce it this week or next week. I'll leave it up to you. What do you think? Should we tease it till next week or you want to drop the bombshell today?
I hadn't planned on announcing it.
Okay, let's
today,
do it next week then.
But we can.
No, let's do it next week. Let's keep this. They call it tease in radio. Usually it's for the next segment, but we'll tease you for next week.
Okay.
So let's tease it next Friday. You're planning on being here on Friday, right?
I sure do.
Okay. So provided the world doesn't end before then, we'll look for the announcement next week. So stay tuned for that, folks. It's a big one. It's an exciting one. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Normally we don't focus much on IDP leagues or anything like that. And this is not really an IDP question that I want to start out asking you about here, Russ, but it is involving the defense. Obviously, Micah Parsons and that whole Jerry Jones nonsense where he didn't want to talk to his agent and all that ends up with Parsons being dealt to Green Bay, got a huge contract. Everyone's happy there. So we look at the Dallas defense and the numbers are pretty stark. With Parsons over the years, they've been an excellent defense. When he's out of the lineup, they've been a horrible defense. They're in a rough spot. Okay, they're just now they lost their game record. They lost their best. I mean, you can make the argument he's their best player, right? So they lost him to Green Bay. What does this now do? Is it just too simple to say, now it's the Cowboys to the moon because their defense is going to give up 30 points and 450 yards a week? Did the outlook of the Cowboys offensive players improve even a little bit more because of this news?
It's always so strange. We saw this with Khalil Mack a few years ago where we see this trade and we say, this makes no sense from a football perspective, why a team would trade one of their top players. Obviously, there's more to that. We saw he got traded to Green Bay and got paid a boatload of money. But as a football fan and as a tactical game plan perspective, this has to be bad for them, right? I mean, it just has to be. For fantasy, it could be good for Dak, but overall, you'd have to assume this just makes them worse.
Right. And I think it also makes the Packers now a much more difficult defense to go against. That's obvious, but they'll try to push for a championship there. We've talked a lot. I've talked with everyone, I think, on staff about what's going on with the Dolphins, and we're all trying to figure out what this offense is going to look like. 2 years ago, flying high, everyone loved them. Last year in the toilet. This year, kind of so-so vibes. And the backfield thing has really been up in the air. It seems like Devon Achane is going to be okay for week 1, but we don't know that for certain. What we do know is that Jalen Wright is not going to be ready for week 1. Ollie Gordon's moving up the boards. And we hear Mike McDaniel say Jalen Wright had surgery and he'll be back September-ish. Is that September 10th? Is that October 3rd? Is Jalen Wright still the guy you want long-term? Is it Ollie Gordon or bust? If you drafted Wright and Ollie Gordon's on the waiver wire, are we spending a big amount of money to get him? What are your thoughts here with this backfield?
So on Wednesday, I update the dynasty rankings /ratings over at Fantasy Guru. And I ended up moving Ollie Gordon above Jalen Wright. I'm taking a slight loss on the Jalen Wright eval for now. The play was coming into this year, Jalen Wright was going to emerge. He has that nice all-purpose profile out of Tennessee, 4th-ish round pick. Generally speaking, if the team is in on these types of guys by year 2. I don't think they drafted Ollie Gordon with the idea that he would supersede Wright, but now that we're here, I am shifting to Ollie Gordon. If we're looking at a 6th round, late round pick to emerge, that's the type of profile we look for. Ollie Gordon was a 2nd or 3rd round prospect eval 2 years ago at Oklahoma State, had a really bad final season for his standards and dropped. At this point, there's a lot of indicators that say maybe this is Ollie Gordon's move here. So I'm moving off Jalen Wright. I'm taking that L. I think sometimes we can do that. We don't have to stick with our conviction till the bitter end, unless it's N'Keal Harry. And, sometimes we just make what we think is the right move. And I think moving to Gordon makes sense.
Let's say you're in a league and you have Achane and you're concerned, right? And you're like, oh, okay. And Ollie Gordon's on the waiver wire, as he is in a lot of leagues that haven't drafted the last 10 days.
Yeah.
Let's say you've got $1,000 to spend. How much are you spending? Because that's the next question, right? It's like, because some people are even saying Ollie Gordon's going to lead the team in touches in week 1, and you know how that goes. So if you got one waiver wire run before the season begins, you probably do. You got $1,000. How are you handling Gordon?
He's not a priority. We got to get him like locked in. Oh, everyone has to go all in with their fab to get him type thing. But it is if you have Achane, I would make it a pretty important move to do here. So I would say 10 to 20% if you want to fire off. I mean, it sucks to use that preseason, but this is essentially getting your handcuff where I do think it's passing the guard from Wright to Gordon.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. I asked yesterday, Tyler Beaker, who's on Thursdays with us, I asked him, hey, what's going on here with Carolina now that Thielen's with Minnesota? And he said, look, Jalen Coker's the guy I'm interested in. I'm not interested in Leggett. I'm interested in Jalen Coker. And then, I don't know, an hour or two after he said that, there was a report that came out that said, Coker's going to be the slot guy, just like Tyler said. Do you see it the same way? Are you a Coker guy over a Leggett guy this season? And does it matter in fantasy?
This is one of those. Okay, so we talk about like fantasy analysis, in-depth research, and then we talk about the fan element of this. And I have had 2 Panthers fans in my life talking to me about Jalen Coker for at least a year and a half. And the first year of that, I was just like, all right, guys, all right, everybody relax.
Right.
But this is one of those instances where I do think there's value in what are the fans saying about this team? Because sometimes they have a good read on this. Jalen Coker has been like this undrafted free agent guy on this Panthers team for a while now. And they brought in Thielen to sort of mentor this depth chart. And Coker was the guy, not Leggett. So very curious how this ends up. John says Russ knows the only 2 they're struggling, John. It's been a rough decade plus, but they're still plugging away, and Coker's their one hope. I like it. I think he's a fun late round play in redraft, but I mean, he's really not too far on the redraft radar yet. It's just Tat. And then in best ball, you can fire with Coker.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. This offseason, we've been uncertain what the situation is with the shoulder injury of Darnell Mooney. There have been thoughts he might be good to go for week 1. There's been concerns he might miss half the season with the shoulder. Like, we just really haven't got a good grip on what's going on. Hasn't practiced since July 24th. So it was over a month before he returned to the field. He did practice yesterday. So I guess there's a window of opportunity potentially for him to be available for week 1, though again, he was off the field for a month of time. Some people like Darnell Mooney. To me, I've never been interested. I don't remember the last time I rostered Darnell Mooney because even though the numbers are good, he had 900 plus, almost at 1,000 yards last year and 5 touchdowns. It's just, it's 20 points one week, it's 6 the next, right? So it's just not a profile I really like. But, looking at this receiving core, Carter Hodge, Ray McLeod, Mooney is the number 2 behind London. So what are your thoughts on Mooney health-wise, and season long this year?
I'm with you on the Mooney thing. I've never really been on it, even when, he had some good seasons in Chicago for what he is. He had a good season last year with Kirk Cousins, but when they made that shift to Penix, there was a clear, all right, Penix is going to target Bijan and London, and that's how we're going to roll with this offense from now on. So I am hoping we are not featuring Darnell Mooney this year like Kirk Cousins did, Ray.
Right.
Because that was a little frustrating. I'm hoping Penix is going to force feed our fantasy guys. So for our sake and the national overall mental health, maybe we go to Kyle Pitts as the second target and not Mooney, right?
Let's hope. We'll talk about Kyle Pitts in a few minutes, by the way. Good tease there, Russ.
There you go.
Lions, lots of talk about the Lions, changing coaches, the players, the stars, the backfield, St. Brown, what's Jameson Wilson. Isaac TeSlaa. Okay. Who is Isaac TeSlaa, and does it matter? Because people are taking this guy in redraft leagues. Okay. And again, he's a bigger Jameson Williams. Okay. But there is Jameson Williams there. I think the depth chart probably has Cleve Raymond ahead of TeSlaa too. But who is TeSlaa? And if you're in a traditional 12-team setup with 6 bench spots, is he worth taking as your last guy on the bench?
Isaac TeSlaa, not a guy 98% of us cared about until he got drafted in the 3rd round by the Detroit Lions. I'll be honest. He did play at Arkansas. I do remember him being on that roster, but he was not a guy who really broke out in college. However, gets to the NFL, top 3 round pick by, I laugh when I say this, but a decent organization at this point, Ray. I guess they're a good organization the last decade, and he's making a lot of plays. So we're all on this ride together. Maybe there's one guy who was an Arkansas fan who was on this TeSlaa thing early, but this is fun. He's huge, 6'4", hyper athletic. I think we can fire in best ball. If you want to roster him in a 20 roster spot redraft league, that's fine with me. Keep expectations low. We got JMO there. We got Amon-Ra there. If there's a third guy, we have really, really, really rare instances where there's 3 fantasy relevant wide receivers on one team. It's like that Pats team. The Broncos had a team. I remember the Cardinals had Steve Breston, Anquan Bolden, and Fitzgerald all get 1,000 yards. Like, that's super, super rare stuff. So not something I'm counting on.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com joins us every Friday here on the show at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. I've been asking everyone this week the following question because A, I'm a Niners fan, and B, because I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on here. We still don't know if Jauan Jennings is even going to play. He's still got the calf issue there. They've brought in Sky Moore. They brought in Russell Gage. Demarcus Robinson is suspended. Brandon Ayuk is hurt. Cowing is hurt. Taylor is hurt. It's Ricky Pearsall, of course. But is there somebody else in this grouping here? Is it Jauan Jennings and we just have to hope he's healthy? Is Russell Gage a waiver wire guy now before he catches 6 passes in week 1? Like, what are we doing here?
It's got to be Ricky. And if it's not Ricky, we're not in a good spot. So it's got to be Ricky. I'm actually confident in Pearsall at this point. Didn't love the prospect profile from Arizona State and Florida, but tested out like a high-end athlete, first round pick to Kyle Shanahan, solid quarterback in Brock Purdy, good offense. So we're in. We like this. This is a good situation. Everything locks into Pearsall having a really good, at least rookie contract and all the opportunity in the world with the 49ers. So I'm not messing with any of this other stuff right now. You mentioned Jennings, I like, but the injury makes it weird. It's Kittle, it's Pearsall, and that's going to be what works.
Like how I said this earlier in the week too, like the Niners could win 5 games this year. Like there are all kinds of beat up. CMC goes down. It's like, their defense is all brand new. I don't know. Hopefully I'm wrong because I am a Niners fan. Packers, another one of these teams. Now the Packers have kind of the same thing going. A lot of guys beat up right now in the receiving core to start the year, but unlike the Niners, where it's pretty pointed, we know it's going to be Pearsall and Jennings until Ayuk gets back. We've talked about this before, Russ. We don't know really from week to week what's happening with the Packers. No one really does. They oddly drafted Golden, who's impressed, in camp and in spring this year. Now we hear Jayden Reed's got a Jones fracture in his foot. Says I'm going to play through it. That's not good. We already have concerns about volume. Now we got with a broken foot. He's like, what do we? If we haven't drafted, if we're drafting this weekend, how are we playing this receiving core with the Packers?
I haven't drafted a Packers wide receiver all off season, and unless you're a Matthew Golden guy, which, as I said, I don't want to call them zombies, but Packers fans are dead set on knowing Tucker Kraft and Matthew Golden are very good. So right. I hear you guys, but for me, I don't want anything to do with any of this. I liked Savion Williams as a fun 3rd round gadget guy. The Jayden Reed thing, he's had that questionable tag all off season. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of a weird hush, like what's going on there? We don't really know. Sounds like he's going to play through it, but you don't know what's going on there. I'm staying away. I'll draft Jordan Love. I do like the offense. I'll draft Josh Jacobs. I'll draft Tucker Kraft, but right. I'd rather wait and see how this plays out because it's going to be messy, and I'm not as confident in Golden as others.
Russ, let's do some number prognostication. We never do this on the show. I'm going to put you on the spot. So I'm going to start out with the quarterback, CJ Stroud, who is perception-wise really good as a rookie and struggling in year 2. What I do know is that he barely in 2 seasons, threw more touchdown passes than Baker Mayfield threw last year, which is pretty remarkable. 23 and 20. We know the backfield with the Texans is jumbled. We don't know what's going on there long term. We know they'd like to lean on the pass this season. How many passes is CJ Stroud going to throw that end up in touchdowns? 25? Is he going to hit 30? What do you think?
As someone who is really high on Stroud coming out, and it's a really strange position because he's been awesome from a real football perspective. Last year sucked for fantasy, and I understand why everyone's kind of out fantasy-wise, and I'm not sure it gets much better this year. I know there's a lot of rumors about this offensive line. Usually I want to see it play out a week or 2 before we make that locked in read, but the running game is in shambles already. We're banking on 2 rookie receivers, which, Higgins and Noel could see that work. I like Christian Kirk, but he's on the other end of his career there. So I'm going to say 22. Okay. A sad 22, Ray. A sad 22.
22 is about where Christian McCaffrey's ADP was 3 months ago. I think it was like 19 or 20 about 3 months ago. And then he started creeping up. Then it was 14. Then it was 12. Now he's being in top 10. Sometimes he gets going in the top 5, which more power to you, folks. Have at it. How many touchdowns is he going to score this year? Now, his last full season, he had his best number in 2023. He scored 21 touchdowns. 3 of the last 5 seasons, 3 of 5, that's 60%, folks. He hasn't scored 7. So this is really how many games he's going to play. But how many touchdowns is he going to score this season? Because again, people are taking him in the first round. And if you're taking McCaffrey in the first round, you're basically saying, I'm expecting 13 to 15 touchdowns at a minimum. What say you?
Single digits. I'm out. Here's my thing. This is not Madden. We don't just get to reset the injuries. The injury dial does not just reset once the season is starting again. And we are drafting him as if that Achilles still hurts, guys. We are humans. I know Christian McCaffrey is a superhuman in some ways, but that's still an injured thing. And we just fast forwarded 8 months. He's almost 30. I don't know, guys. I'm not doing it. I'm going single digits. You can have fun with it. And of course, we know if you get 10 games of healthy CMC, you're probably going to be in first place in your league. I'm out. So I'm saying single digits.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. We're going back to your former home, to a place where you like the quarterback, Drake May.
Yes.
Stefon Diggs. It's going to be the number one receiver here. Stefon Diggs last year only caught 47 passes. Now, if he'd played 17 games, he would have had 100 catches for the 5th year in a row, because that's the pace he was on. Let me say that again. If he played a full slate of games, he would have been a 5th year in a row of 100 catches. Still averaged 6 catches a game last year, 5.9. Some people are in. We're very pro Diggs over at fantasyguru.com. You look at the ADP, most people aren't. How many catches does Diggs have this year? 75, 85, 95. He's the number one wide receiver from his team, coming back from injury. But they're pretty much going to be force-feeding him the ball, I would think. What say you, Russ?
If Diggs plays a full season, which sounds like he's all set from that injury last year, 80 plus for sure. What that 80 plus looks like, again, in 2025, that could be 9 yards per reception. There's so many of those dink and dunk passes. We saw Wan'Dale Robinson have like 90 catches last year and it not really matter for fantasy. So the amount of volume in the passing game, it looks a little different in 2025. I do think he's going to be fantasy relevant. 80 plus catches, if he's healthy, is pretty much a lock for me. The wide receiver depth chart over there is figuring itself out. Jalen Polk out for the season. They let go of a few guys, and overall, it looks like we've solidified into Diggs being the top guy there.
So you're pretty comfortable theoretically. Is him as your wide receiver 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we got a tight end question for you here. And you have to answer one of the two. You can't say neither. I'm not allowing neither. One of the two. Okay. Which of these two pass catching tight ends is catching 70 passes this year? And again, don't tell me they're both catching 61. Which is catching 70? Kyle Pitts or Brenton Strange? Give me a name, Russ.
Both.
Oh, go, Russ, go.
Brenton Strange was featured at times at the end of last season with Mac Jones. They tested him out. They did the test run, and he passed. He looked good. He was able to make some plays, and Evan Ingram's now in Denver. So that was a clear signal. That is not a small move. Evan Ingram was a main weapon for TeSlaa, and letting him go was a real signal for their former second round pick. So I like Strange where he's going. And then Pitts. So here's the problem. We like Kyle Pitts. Right. And then if he has 1 or 2 good games, we're like, oh, this is Kyle. It's going to be like 73 catches, 800 yards. And it's going to finally blow past expectations because they're so low now. But, probably 800 yards, 75 catches, somewhere around there. And I'll be happy, but fantasy people will still remember all the shame brought upon him. So we're going to go over on both. I am drafting both, but it's Kyle Pitts, so we don't get to get excited unless it's 1,200 yards.
I'm looking at your dynasty rankings over at fantasyguru.com, and there's a lot of young tight ends, right? That we're excited about, athletic guys. And then you've got Kelsey, and you've got Ertz and Andrews, like these veteran guys that are still effective, but obviously well into their 30s, some of them. You have Pitts and Strange both as tight end ones because of the age factor here in that dynasty setup. How confident are you in these two guys? Because it sounded to me like you're a little more confident in Strange, a little bit more concerned with Pitts, but I might just be reading into that.
We're in a transition for the tight end landscape. A lot of young tight ends are going to be starting this year. It's not a great time in the fantasy tight end landscape. So when you look at those rankings and you look at the ratings, I have Colston Loveland as my tight end 4 in Dynasty right now, and that feels horrible. But when you look at the rating, it's only an 85. So I'm actually not overly high on Loveland. We're just in a place where Kelsey's 35. We had Kelsey locked in as tight end 1 in Dynasty for almost a decade. And now he's just 35. He's in that Tony Gonzalez in Atlanta phase of his career. All those other guys are long gone. The Grahams, the Gronks, Kittle's 31. So we just don't really have the transition yet. But all these next guys, this 2025 tight end class, and some of these young guys we're talking about, Pitt's still young, Strange still young. Some of these guys are going to move into these prominent roles soon. So that's what we're preparing for in Dynasty. We're not exactly sure who it is yet, but we do know this is the next era.
Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time here on the show. Remember to stay tuned. Be back next Friday. If you're not going to be with us all week, at least be back Friday for the big announcement that Russ has. And I'm playing this up, but it is a big announcement. It is a big announcement, a real announcement. So we'll get to it next Friday. Before next Friday, you mentioned college football, and again, that's part of, we offer that over at fantasyguru.com. You're one of the lead guys for that too. So what does the week look like for you starting next Monday? Give it to the listeners here today.
It's a fun time. College football nowadays is unwrapping a gift, and not one that what's in there. It could be, a bag of potato chips. It could be Amazon gift card. You never know. Everyone's on new teams now. So we're all figuring out college football together. Mike the Beard, Scott Bondar, Chris Rose, T-Rod, all those guys are working on college football this year. So should be a lot of fun. I have an article that comes out tonight. So definitely check that out. And I will announce it. I'm not sure where everything stands, but I am going to be hosting with Justin Fensterman a Sirius XM pregame, postgame, midgame show this year. So should be a lot of fun.
So now you don't have to stay tuned for next Friday because he blew it. But no, that was the announcement. No, and it's really exciting. We'll talk about it again next week as well. But yeah, you're going to be, you and Justin be doing a Game Time, Elite Sports Game Time show on game day. And so for those of you that like what you're seeing here with Russ, you only get him for 30 minutes. You'll get a chance on Sundays now to listen to him for 2 hours, right, Russ?
Yeah. So I'm really excited for that opportunity. It should be really fun, and got to meet some of the guys this week, producers and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a cool space to be in.
And Jeff Mans, if I'm not mistaken, he's on Sunday mornings. So I think you should start your day with Jeff and then end your day with Russ and Justin. So we'll get you the times and all that kind of stuff next week. So that'll be something you can stay tuned for on Friday. We'll get you the full update there. But yeah, congrats to Russ getting a chance to spread his wings and share his knowledge with not just you all here or over at fantasyguru.com, but with the world. It is worldwide now because of the internet, Russ. So make sure that you take some tea and everything and your throat's good to go for next Sunday.
That's right. That's right.
Well, thanks for your time today. We appreciate it. Again, he'll continue to visit with us on Fridays. You heard all the movement and all the things he's involved with here at fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get signed up. If you have any questions on anything, send a note, an email to support@fantasyguru.com, and we will help you become part of the largest active community in fantasy sports. Russ, thanks for your time today. We'll talk to you next week, and have a great weekend with college football.
Thanks, Ray.
You got it. He's Russ. I'm Ray. We'll be back on Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the show. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the Elite Sports Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio with Jeff Mans. So tune into that show in just about an hour. For Russ, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.